Good morning. Or no, it's afternoon, isn't it? We're live. I've got Dr. Sarah Taylor in the green room, and here's the song that she chose. Saw her today at the reception. A glass of wine in her hand. Knew she would meet her connection. At a fleet was a footloose man. You can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you want. But if you try sometime, you just might find you get what you need. That's all we've got time for because we want to bring in the lovely Sarah. How are you doing?
Oh, well, that was amazing, Ashley. And I didn't know that you were going to be singing as well as playing the guitar. So that was a nice surprise.
A man of surprising talents. I won't say many, but I can say surprising. So, yeah, music is a big part of my life. And so many people come on to a Zoom call or something with me and they go, oh, you play guitar. And yes, I do. It's a big part of my life.
Not just for decoration.
No. So thanks for coming. My very first question to all of my guests is, why did you choose that song?
Oh, well, I suppose the song itself, I just think it's true of life, really. How often do we find that we get something that we wouldn't have chosen for ourselves, ideally, but when we think about it or look back, it's actually what we needed. And I can think of lots of times in my own life like that, the job interview that I thought I desperately needed, not even just wanted, needed that job, my dream job, and didn't get it. But then actually it either wasn't the right job or it wasn't the right time for the job. So I think, sometimes things lead to things that end up better in the long run. So I'm a firm believer in that. So that's why I chose the song today.
No, absolutely great one. I didn't write any notes on sometimes I write notes on the lyrics when the song came out. I'm sure someone can Google it for us and quickly tell us, but that was written a long time ago, and we're all about mindfulness and stuff like that now. And if you stop and listen to those lyrics, we don't really need everything, do we? And that's the thing. That's the thing. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Sarah. What is it you do?
Oh, well, I know you've described me somewhere as the finder of MoJos, which is a very cool description. I've not had that one before. I guess in more boring terms, probably, or more generic, I focus on well-being at work. And this has been my passion for as long as I can remember, actually. Before it kind of became a thing, I'd been interested in what does it take for us to thrive at work? How can we be our best selves, feel, purposeful, enlivened, energized by what we do? And so that's been my quest for a long time. And so through my own business, I've managed to turn that into workshops, coaching, one-to-one and group coaching and webinars, things like that, really, to just kind of engage other people in that conversation and hopefully offer a few tips and tools along the way.
Fantastic. And so before we get into that, I've got a few questions about LinkedIn and social media, because that's how we met. That's how I meet all my guests, because we just live on LinkedIn. But what is it you love about LinkedIn, Sarah?
Well, I'm trying to actually think how I heard about your thing. Somebody who'd been on it must have introduced me. And I remember at the time thinking, no, LinkedIn is not for me. I didn't really use it at all. I might have been more of a lurker, I suppose, and sometimes find useful things, but I didn't see myself using it hugely. So what you promised to get me loving LinkedIn, I thought, okay, well, I'm very open-minded. Let's have a go. I was keen to explore it because I could see that it was changing and I wanted to give it a go and see where I'd been making mistakes. So it was really just to see if that would be true for me and how it could work for me. So I went in with a pretty open mind, no real set objectives, just to be curious and see what came out of it. But I now do love LinkedIn.
Oh, yes. that was going to be my next question, but yeah, beat me to it. But you do other social media as well, don't you? So tell us about what else you do.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't use any of it for personal use, I should say that. So it really is more to kind of learn and connect in a professional way. I have tried Instagram. I post there very infrequently. I can't, there's too much dancing and pointing and things like that. I just can't quite, it's not me. But I'm there nevertheless. I like other people's stuff. Twitter, I do like. I think Twitter has gone through a weird phase though, and it got a little bit snipey, a little bit snarky. So I didn't use it for a while, but I do see that changing again. But it's different from LinkedIn because, of course, now on Twitter, you kind of split up your thoughts into threads and people can engage with like a little idea, not the whole thing. So it's different. I also like Medium, which is more for obviously writing and blogging and things like that. I find some really good stuff there. But yeah, it is LinkedIn really that I spend most of my time and find most of my useful information and make some really good connections. So yeah.
I love the way you use social media for learning and connecting.
Yes.
That is what it's for.
Yeah.
And I think so many people think it's for selling. And that's quite evident when we get a message from somebody, buy my stuff because I'm really good.
Yes. The worst one is just bumping this up to the top of your inbox. Please don't.
I don't need any bumping.
Yeah, no, totally. I actually, there was some LinkedIn guru, I won't name this person, but a while back, I remember reading one of their things that just depressed me and put me off it actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it said you have to be divisive, otherwise there's no point posting. And I just thought that's exactly what's, in my opinion, a little bit wrong with it's not helpful. It is polarizing. So yeah, I thought, well, that's a shame if that's what people think. But in my experience,
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the top tip for getting anywhere on social media is make sure that people hate you. I think, really? Isn't it? Isn't it sad? Isn't it sad? Anyway, people that don't hate us is Merlin. Hi, Merlin, and hi, John. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Brazil. International. That must be really early in Brazil. So thanks ever so much for coming in. And hi, Kyle. How are you today? Good to see you. So because you've been on my workshop, I teach being on LinkedIn, like being in the real world, being at a networking event. And if you're at a networking event, you go, oh, hi, Sarah, how are you? And you have a little chat.
Yeah.
Oh, red doesn't suit you. I wouldn't be seen dead in red. You should be wearing yellow. You don't do that, do you?
No, I know. And something you said that has always stuck with me is you also wouldn't just go,
I love it.
And to be fair, there are times sometimes when you're in a rush and so you kind of maybe want to go back to it and add a comment. But yeah, it's so true, isn't it? You wouldn't just go, you would actually engage.
Yeah, absolutely. Or the other one. I heart that comment. That was really good.
Yeah.
It's 9:38 in the morning in Brazil. That's easy. That's all right. I thought it was going to be like 5 o'clock in the morning. So how often do you post on LinkedIn, Sarah?
I couldn't say. I don't have a system. I don't, use any of these tools that you can preload up with content. I have this weird philosophy of simply posting when I feel like I've got something to share. Radical, but that's
there's so many schools of thought. The bottom line is you've got to do what feels right for you, because if it starts becoming a pain, a chore, a bore, you ain't going to do it.
Nope. And that is not loving LinkedIn.
And then you're just doing that.
Yeah.
And we don't want that. We love what you do on LinkedIn. I love what you do.
Well, I think I've learned to worry. I used to think, oh my gosh, I'd be bothering people, filling up. And then you realize how narcissistic that is. Like people probably don't even see half the stuff you post anyway, let's be honest. So
Well,
yeah.
they don't care. They
Exactly.
really don't care. And I think you're far too young to remember a lady called Mary Whitehouse.
Oh,
Mary Whitehouse used to be a force of power on the TV. So she would write and stand up for what should be good and that on TV. So she would campaign against all the rude things that were happening on TV. If someone said "damn" or something like that back in the day,
gosh.
she would be turning in her grave watching some of the things on TV now. Like Love Island. I just love to imagine what she would think of Love Island. All these ladies walking around with nothing on. It's just, it is crazy. But she used to moan and whinge about the TV, and you'd see it on some of the TV programs and what have you. It's not like, if her TV's anything like my TV, there's a little button that says off.
Yeah, you can change the channel.
So and what we've got on social media, we've got a button that says block.
Yes,
And we don't want to see this anymore. I'll
Yeah.
block it. It's really not a problem. Really
Yeah.
not a problem. Do you get business as a result of what you do on LinkedIn, Sarah?
I definitely get interest in some of the workshops. The energy MOT is probably the most popular one, and that, you know, I can say a bit more about that later. But
No, you're going to say about it now. You're just like,
okay.
hang on.
Yeah, we don't have that long, do we? But I mean, essentially, it's quite simple.
What?
Just like you have an energy, you have an MOT for your car or your vehicle. It's a similar concept, but it's a system. It's a process that you can check in on your energy levels. You know, how's your energy looking in terms of physical energy, mental, emotional, purposeful? Where are the drains? Where can you make some improvements? So it's just a process to take you through that, and I can do that with a group or individuals. I think, though, from LinkedIn, as well as, you know, the sort of interest in that, it's more collaborations. And I really, really love collaborations because, you know, I worked as part of an organization and as part of a team for most of my working life. I've only been running my own business since 2018. So it's really, I'm not used to not having a team, but I never feel lonely, ever. Like, I never feel alone as a solo preneur. Is that the term we
That
use?
is the term.
Is that the term?
Don't you get the other one though, Sarah?
What's that?
Mumpreneur.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, do you know, people probably, yes, I probably do. I've not heard it directly. I'm not sure about that one. It's a funny one. I'll just go with a solopreneur.
It is funny. Yeah, you are a mum and you're an entrepreneur, and you are solo.
Do we get dadpreneurs? Do we get dadpreneurs?
No.
Uh-huh.
No. Or granddadpreneurs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that doesn't work either. That doesn't work either. So come on, tell us about what you do and how you do it and how you actually got there. So you said you've been doing it 15 years. There wasn't such a thing as wellbeing 15 years ago. So what were you doing? Groundbreaking.
Right. Well, in some ways, it started off with this interest in how do we flourish as human beings. So I was always interested in, you know, that end of the spectrum, not just how we prevent ill health, but how do we kind of optimize our lives and experience on this short time we've got on Earth. Really, that was my original drive, I guess, and still is. I have spent a long time working, as I say, in organizations, and I found my focus in working with people, the people side of change. And to cut a very long story short, started doing a PhD part-time whilst working around helping people change, transformational change at work. And one of the surprising standout findings was that what made for successful change wasn't the tools of the change. It wasn't the particular models or whatever. It wasn't even the skills of the managers leading the change. It was the energy, you know, that kind of inner place. Because it's a lot, isn't it, to kind of keep evolving, adapting, changing, delivering, driving, whatever it is that you're doing at work. You need energy for it. And I just thought, wow, yeah, that wasn't an expected finding, but it was the finding. So that has shaped the rest of my work. And I should also say, to be honest, personally speaking, I just know how it feels to be utterly depleted. And at one point, I think I was probably the most informed, tooled up person in terms of well-being, had every gadget, you know, all the books, and I was knackered and I wasn't sleeping and I was completely burnt out, to the point of really thinking, how can I deliver these workshops? How can I do what I do? Because I feel utterly empty. And what I realized was I didn't have a system. I had tips and tools, but they were disconnected. I didn't have a way of integrating them in a real life that isn't, you know, sitting on top of a mountaintop, being able to meditate for 7 days straight, or what, you know, lovely, great if you can do that. But yeah, as a mum of, well, even now, a mum of a 4-year-old, an 18-month-old, and a business and all the rest of it, yeah, I had to find a system that kind of put all that into practice. So I think, yeah, that's been my journey recently. It's the how of well-being rather than the what. I think we know a lot now, which is good. There's much more information and awareness, which is very much needed. But I think we get stuck on the how. We know what we should be doing, but we find ourselves feeling like we don't have the time or we can't prioritize it. Lots of different reasons. So yeah, that's kind of my my latest thing, is the how.
I love that. And so you found it, you've got this now. Is that right?
It's a work in progress, shall we say? But essentially, I feel like you need a way to reset. So we're always this idea of perfect balance is probably even a pressure, you know, this idea that we're going to have this lovely equilibrium and we're going to give enough, we're going to have our physical energy topped up, we're going to feel good emotionally, we're going to have our purpose, and we kind of think we can get to this place and keep it. Whereas I think for me, finding a system that embraces the messiness of life is what I needed. So I need lots of resets, I think, in terms of rhythms rather than balance. So there are times when, you know, you're kind of playing all out, and then there are times for rest and recovery. And I think if you can tune into what part of that, I suppose, cycle or season or rhythm that you're in, that for me makes things a lot simpler, and you can kind of let go of some of the other expectations. So yeah, that's that's kind of how it works for me.
It's recognizing that, though, isn't it? And doing what, again, what I said earlier, what works for you. I'm a big walker. So I go for a walk. I come in here first thing in the morning. I do my exercise, do my yoga, do a bit of work, and then I go for a walk. Have my breakfast, do some work, and then go for my lunch and have a walk. And then when I've finished work, I just shut the door of my shed and just go for a walk. I don't walk miles, but I just get out.
I don't
know if you saw, I just turned to the side because a friend of mine sent me a message. Yeah, there you go. So they asked how I was doing, and I said, "Oh, I'm busy." And they went, "Haha, you're always busy. Speak soon. Take care of you." And it was those two words at the end of that "take care." Right? Yeah. Good point. And I think sometimes we need that little reminder.
Yes, a little nudge, I think, because there's a paradox with energy levels, that the lower your energy is, the least able you are to be self-aware and to know that you need to maybe slow down or take a break. So yeah, we need to either have someone else give us that little nudge, or build in, you know, reminders, things like that. So
joys of being married. Are you coming in? So you can't see it from here, but literally there's a window here in my shed, and then there's the house, and it's the patio door. And my wife will come to the I can't see her, but she'll come to the door and she'll go, and then I go in, which is absolutely brilliant. But if she's gone to a meeting or something, I'll just stay here because I just love doing what I do, and that's the joy of being a solopreneur, because you love doing what you're doing, because you've got no one over your shoulder, but you can just get tied up in knots. You won't believe this, and maybe you're going to slap my wrists, but my grandson's staying with us at the moment, and he was poorly in the night, and so I'm lying in bed. And I was sort of like, oh, I'll try to go, and they're all running around, and so but they've come to stay because my daughter's not very well. She's just had an eye operation. She's all right, but she's just had an eye operation. So we're looking after the baby, and her husband's running around clearing all the sick up, and then so my daughter gets up, my wife gets up, and I'm lying in bed. I ain't going to get back to sleep now. So I came down here at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I did a little bit of work, but it was great because it was preying on my mind. I came down here, did a few little bits that I did, went back in. The house was quiet, jumped into bed, went straight to sleep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, do you know what? I actually don't think if you did it every day, probably
no.
not
They'd be going back up to Wales.
Yeah, no, you have to find these workarounds, and if you can, and actually it's surprising as well, just the difference a power nap in the day can make.
Well, this is exactly what John's just said.
A power nap helps. Yes, it does. It really
does. I'm all for that. It's normally at about 8 o'clock at the night where we're trying to watch something on telly. So yeah, it certainly does. John, how long do you spend in a power nap? I'd be interested to know. And is there an optimum time for a power nap, Sarah?
Yeah, well, there is, depending on what you want it to do. You have to have a full almost 90-minute nap if you want to go through your full sleep cycle, get the deep sleep. Probably not recommended for a power nap if you just wanting to keep it short. Yeah, 20 minutes is probably ideal. Yeah, Matthew Walker is probably the best go-to person for anything to do with.
I don't think he's going to come on this show.
Well, you never know.
If you know him.
What did they say? The three degrees of connection and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Scott, carry on. What does he say?
Oh yeah, so no, he's just kind of, he's written the definitive guide on sleep, really. So yeah, he kind of sets out these different optimums depending on what you need it to do. But generally, if you're just wanting a quick boost and it's a working day, keep it short. That's the one. There you go.
Maybe I need to finish it.
Did you fall asleep?
I did. So John does 20 to 40 minutes.
20 to 40, cool. Yeah. And again, I guess it's about seeing what works for you, isn't it? And how do you feel? You might feel groggier after a longer nap, but you might feel better in the long run. So again, it kind of depends what your afternoon's like. If you can afford a bit of initial grogginess, great, have a longer nap.
I've got 2 hours of paid online marketing workshop this afternoon. So
that you're running, or that
no. I'm trying to find out more about this. So let's have a look at that. So where are we with our questions? Did we start anything? So it's the type of people that you work with, your customers, your clients. What sort of clients and that do you work with?
So I work with managers, leaders at all levels in corporate settings. I don't have like a niche. I don't sort of only work with certain kind of companies. It generally, though, I find it's companies that are quite progressive, in their thinking around well-being and engagement. They genuinely care about giving their people a good experience of work. I've worked a lot with public sector organisations, and that's probably because that's my background. I've worked for the NHS and local authorities. I also work a lot with colleges and universities. That's become quite common for me. But equally, all different companies. But and it's either directly with the managers and leaders who want to feel more able to manage their own energy, but also role model that for others and create that culture through small actions. It's the small behaviors that make a difference. So that's, how I help them. But then generally, for any person at work, I would offer the energy MOT, and that's not focused only on leaders. That's just anybody. That is just being a human being. We've all got those types of energy, and we've all got ways that we can optimize those, if you like. So that's when I would run the more general workshop or smaller coaching programs, depending on what the need is. So all different people, Ashley.
and do you get sometimes somebody from a corporation will phone you because they have to tick that box that says they do well-being and they just don't get it?
Well, do you know, I feel like either I'm just very lucky, or there's a bit of a myth and a stereotype that gets portrayed of people just wanting to tick the box, because I I don't get those calls. I get people that are really caring about not wanting their people to burn out. You know, they can kind of see that there's overwhelm, there's overwork, there's depletion, and they will genuinely want to do something about that, but they're not quite sure what is going to work. I actually think people, and I think it's after, of course, the pandemic, people are more, they're wanting to do things that have depth to them. You know, they're not just wanting the lightweight stuff that might feel good in the moment, but then, you know, does it really make a difference? So yeah, no, I think I've been quite lucky so far, or not. Maybe that is just where
So
people are at.
you know why that is, don't you? You attract people like you, and you're so bubbly and fun. Then you're not going to attract those people that are not like that. So that's why that is.
Maybe so. Who knows?
It's not a surprise. It's not a surprise. So before we go, one little bit of advice to anyone watching this that is feeling a little bit low on energy. What could they do? What's a simple fix that they could do immediately?
I think if you're already very low on energy, then don't make too many changes all at once. Like, just pick one thing that you want to change and keep with that one thing. And for long enough for it to make an effect, don't kind of overwhelm yourself with lots of things to do. Don't make well-being into a to-do. So quite often it's about doing less at that point. So what can you say no to? What can you do less of? And that includes the internal stuff that can deplete us, the judgments, the guilt that I should be this or should be doing that. Yeah, I would probably start there. If you're really kind of running on empty, and a lot of people worry about saying no and cancelling things, taking time out. It's surprising how accommodating and understanding people will be, especially if you kind of explain why. And it's almost a gift to others because they go, oh, it's okay to prioritize my well-being. It's okay to, so yeah, I think that's probably, I think I would start there.
I think that's a great bit of advice. Yeah, because there's so much. But yeah, I love that. I've got one more question for you. So I'm going to come to that in just a second. But before I do that, I'm going to introduce the guest for next week. James Crow is coming on, and he is Posture Star. So they do all kinds of comfortable sitting and stuff like that. So he's a sitting specialist. So you're the MoJo specialist. He's the sitting specialist. And here I am at my standing desk. So
I know
I'm already winning. I'm already winning.
I need to get one of those, I think. And do you know, it's funny, I actually spoke to James last week, and yeah, we've got loads in common. We care about the same things, and he's offering something quite unique to what I do, and I actually probably could do with his help, actually, to have a look at my desk setup and posture. It's never been a strength of mine, she says, just checking.
We're not designed to sit in front of a computer. No, that's the thing. And that's why I've got this standing desk. And it really is the best thing that I have ever bought for my business. It was worth every single penny that I expended on this amazing desk. So yeah, it was, and the thing is, it's got all these different memories in it. So I'm on the highest setting for this because I'm doing a show and the camera needs to be in the right position. When I'm doing Zoom, it's a little bit lower so I can actually reach the keyboard. And then when I feel I've been stood for too long, I'll sit down. But it's not long and I'm stood up again. So it really is. And it's so simple to use. And yeah.
I mean, I've got shed envy, though. You have a shed. You have an outhouse.
Do you know what? It's all right. Maybe the shed was the best thing I ever bought. It's just great because I'm away from everybody and I can just do my own thing, and I don't know about making noise and stuff like that. So no, it is good. Anyway, you're putting off this question. So the question that I've got to ask you is not coming down, and I should remember it because I've been asking it for 2 years. What tip would you give your 16-year-old self if you were able to go back in time, Sarah?
My 16-year-old self. I think, and this would apply to any age actually, is just to focus on the stage of life that you're at and enjoy that rather than worrying about what's next. And obviously the benefit of hindsight and stuff. But yeah, I feel like I was very much I've always been quite future oriented rather than past. And it was kind of like, if I was in uni, well, will I find the right job? what is the right job? When I was single, will I ever meet somebody? Will I ever have, always worrying about, or even just planning for, actually just enjoy the bit that you're in and let the rest happen. So
it's like it's nearly Friday. It's nearly Friday. Enjoy Tuesday. There's so much going on in Tuesday, especially today. It's Valentine's Day.
I know. Well, I actually celebrated Valentine's Day early yesterday with my other half. We had a rare afternoon together while the kids were in nursery and he was off work. So that was nice. And so, it kind of feels like we've done that because we're both busy tonight, actually. So,
brilliant.
No, but everyone else a very lovely Valentine's Day. Yeah,
absolutely. Sarah, it's been lovely to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
How can people get hold of you? And you've got this MOT thing. Can anyone do that?
Yeah, anyone can do that. Yeah, absolutely. So if you're able to share the link for that, people can take.
If you come in and put that in at the end, but it'll also be on the show notes on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you can message me on here as well. That'd be an easy way to get in touch. So do you want me to pop that link in the chat just now?
We'll put that on afterwards because it's a different chat. And John's just said, "Don't worry, be happy now." Love that. What a lovely way to end the show. Thanks ever so much, everybody. And we will be back next week. Cheerio, Sarah.
Cheerio.
There's a button here to press. You get out what you put